Hello everyone, happy Friday. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, and I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour here in the evenings. And we work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be there along the entire way and ask your questions and make the project with us. So I am working on the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along. Here is the book for it. It is by Pat Sloan and Jane Davidson. And we are going to start a new block tonight. So yesterday, the four new blocks were released, and tonight we are going to start one of them. We are going to start Nancy's Spool. There we are. This should be a nice, quick, and easy one. There was an error in the book, so if you guys do have the book, go to thesplendidsampler.com, and they have a link to download the updated version. It looks like it's just a little minor change, so we'll take a look at that tonight. And I think this may be a block that we can sew up in one evening, which would be nice. That would be a quick, lovely win for a long week, right? All right, guys, I am going to flip you around. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Okay, I got the sewing machine out again. Okay, the Splendid Sampler 2. So here is the block. Oh, Leslie Ann, I'm just a couple minutes late, so that's probably why you couldn't find me earlier. All right, so here is the block right here. It is this cute little spool of thread is what it looks like. And it looks like it's just like two half square triangles, one there, a normal square and a square made in a four patch. But then we have, before we sew it into a four patch, we sew little tips to those to each one of these squares, and that'll make this little diamond in the middle. So that is the plan. Here is the updated instructions. So from what I can tell, and if you guys saw something different than I did, from what I can tell, the only change is that for the A squares and what was it? There was one more. Well, maybe that's it. Just for the A squares, we actually only need one square and not two squares. So in the book it says two squares. In the updated it says one square. I think that is really the only thing I saw. Oh no, and then here too. So this one has two navy print squares and we only needed one navy print square. I thought I saw that it was in two places. So correct. So A and B, you only need one of the squares, not two, like how it's listed in the book. So I think that's the change there. Okay, let's start by picking our fabrics. It looks like we just have three fabrics, and one is kind of predetermined by what I'm doing for my quilt. So the backgrounds on my quilt are going to be white. So surrounding this spool, I'm going to have white, which this is too cute. I almost wish I didn't do white because it's cute with a background. But we're doing white, and that's going to blend together with the rest of my quilt. So this is the white. We'll use this for the background. And then we need the spool, and we also need that little red thread area. So here are the fabrics that I'm going to use. I'm using from my pale taupes and yellows. I'm not going to use a bright color for this one. I'm only using the bright colors every 5 blocks or so, and we did that block last night. So last night we got the bright colors, so we're back to the kind of duller colors. And I mean, we could really do anything for this. I mean, we could just grab, but it's awfully cute. So she's using, a bright blue and then a bright red. I don't know, what should we do here? This yellow is awfully cute. Maybe this is time we do have that big half square triangle, so it might be a chance to show off some, fabric with like some swirls or something, or like this one we have some pretty decorations. But this one in previous blocks, I thought it was too close to the white, so maybe let's stick away from there. And we could do bright colors. You know, this would be kind of cute for the middle maybe. This would be cute for the half square triangles too. I don't know, or we could kind of stick to a brown for the spool part. You know, that's not bad. I don't think we've done a combination kind of like this, like a brown and a bright yellow. I think maybe let's go with this. It's a little bit different than I'm used to in this quilt so far, so let's give it a go. I kind of like it. Let's go for it. So, all right, I'm going to make the spool part this color, so let's pretend that this is a triangle. I always kind of like to see what it might look like. So here's our kind of half square triangle up here, and then we'll have like this little diamond in the middle, kind of like that. I think that's sweet. Let's do this. All right, I like it. We're doing it. Okay, so let's cut our pieces. All right, open this up again. So we need, okay, so wait, now we need to figure out, so when they say tan, so here it says tan print square, that means white. That's that background color. So this is the white part. So I need one square that's 3 by 7/8, and then 2 squares that are 3 1/2. So now there's another 3 7/8 piece. That's the navy print. So that's this piece here. That's going to be our brown. So I think we can cut our 1 square of white and our 1 square of brown at the same time. So let's start there. 3 7/8, just one of each. Okay. So brown and white. Let's start by giving them a little press. Yeah, Glennis, I think it looks cheerful. I think the contrast of that kind of, you know, dull brown with a bright yellow, I think that's gonna like went together, I think, a little cuter than I thought it was going to. All right, I'm just kind of clearing up an area here. That's really all we need of the white right now. And get some of this yellow. What's a goofy corner here that we can clip from? Oh yes, so Leslie Ann, the change in the pattern. Let's go right here. The change in the pattern is for, what was it, the A and the D squares or C squares? I'll have to look, but it's what we're doing now. So, oh wait, this is the wrong one. I need the brown. The brown square, 7/8 inch square, 3 7/8 inch square, and the white, well, I guess it's tan and navy. So the tan and navy squares, there's only one. You only cut one instead of 2. So in the instructions, I'll show you again once I open the book again. In the instructions, it said you needed 2, and you really only need 1 of each. All right. So let's twist this guy around. All right. We're gonna get from this corner here, I think. We got a lot of white here. And this corner. So I need 3 7/8. Sometimes for half square triangles, you get those weird measurements like 7/8. Okay. 3 7/8. I do have a 7/8 marker on here, so that's good. Rotary cutter. Okay, that's just about 4 inches. Actually, I might actually cut my square to 4 inches. Just to be safe. On these half square triangles, you can usually cut a little bit bigger. So I think I will just trim it to 4 inches, and we can always cut them down when we're done. So if you want to just play it a little safe, go for 4 inches. Okay, I just moved this, but did the white one? Yeah, the white came with it. Good. Okay. And the second direction. You don't believe in 7/8 measurements, Gretchen? You always round up to 4 then? All right, we're done with the brown. That's all we need of the brown, but we do need the white. So since I'm here with the white, let's just see what we need to do there. But here's our two 3 7/8. I rounded up to 4 for this. And obviously you can't always do that. If you're doing really precise sewing, you're not going to want to do that. But for half square triangles, the way they're typically done, well, you end up with half one, so it'll end up like this, basically. Not quite like this, but a half square triangle. You can trim any half square triangle to whatever size you need. Like if you go like this, on the diagonal there, now you got a smaller one, right? So if we're a little bit bigger, we can always trim down specifically with half square triangles. So I just rounded up to 4. I think we'll survive by doing that. And, I need the book again. What else do we need of this white? We need 2 3.5-inch squares. Okay. I think for that, I'm going to fold. Yeah, I probably can't get 3.5 that way. Let's see what we can get here. Now where'd my ruler go? Sheesh. Things are running away from me. Okay, here we are. Oh, yeah, Valerie, here's the change, you guys. So here's the printed out change. Here's the change. For the A square, you only need 1. You don't actually need 2 of the 3 7/8. And also the 2 navy print squares in the book, you actually only need 1. Those are the changes. It goes from 2 to 1. So if you mess up, the most you're going to do is cut an extra 2 squares, and you'll just have extra 2 squares sitting around. You're not going to mess up anything else. All right, so I need 3.5 inches. I'm just trying to fold this so I only have about 3.5 inches to cut. Yeah, let's go about right there. There's a little nick out of it, so I'm going a little further over. I could have just cut a long strip, in theory, of this white and then trimmed it down for these other pieces, but I wanted to cut that brown piece with it. All right, I have 2 pieces together here, so I'm going to try and keep that. I'm kind of using my whole cutting board as a rotating cutting mat. Okay, so 3.5. Let's got that first side square. Let's do the other. This is where I'm really lining up those 3.5-inch marks along that nice edge we just cut. We'll just cut it all the way off like that. And there we are. So we are done with the white. That's all we need there. And now we just need to cut, we have 2 of these, we just need to cut that yellow. So 1 of each of those big squares, 2 of those slightly smaller white squares, and 4 1 3/4-inch squares. I might just cut a strip for this. So let's see, 1 3/4. That'd be 1.5 is 2/4. So that'd be 3, right? So I'd have to add 3 inches. So 4. So I need like a 7-inch strip at least by 1 3/4. Okay, let's do that. Ooh, hopefully that math was right. Okay, so I need at least 7 inches here. Oh, someone said that Nori is saying that someone said that the correction was for an earlier version of the book. So some of you might actually have a decent, a book without the mistakes in. All right, I'm going to just cut a strip here. I'm going to have a little extra, but we're going to do it. And you know what? Let's just press. I was going to see if I could get away without pressing, but let's press it. Let's not skip all the corners, right? Okay, there we go. I feel better. All right, so I'm going to first trim an edge, and then what was it again? 1 1/4 1 3/4. Okay, I didn't want to accidentally do 1/4. Okay, starting with a nice fresh edge. Ooh, I moved a little bit on that. Oh well, I think we'll be okay. I'm gonna rotate that around. Okay, 1 3/4. Okay, looking good. All right, there we are. All right, and I think I'm going to get my rotating cutting mat out. It's just going to be a little bit easier for the small bit. So I'm going to actually, we need 4 of these, so I'm going to just fold this in half a couple times. I know we have a bunch extra here, so we should be good to go. I will be wasting a little bit here, but I think we'll be fine. All right, so first I'm just cutting a nice edge, cutting all those raw edges off. I'm leaving this much because I have another little nick out of there. All right, so now we have 3 good edges, and I'm just going to rotate this. And now we need the 1 3/4 again to get our squares. 1 3/4. Alrighty. Okay, there we go. Now we should have our 4 squares. These are going to be that little thread part of our spool. And then here are the rest of it. So we are good to go. It is time to start sewing. So this is going to go real quick, I think. All right, back to the book. It's nice because we didn't even have to cut out a whole lot to this. All right, I'm going to just keep going from the correction page here, just in case I've missed something, a different change in here. But all right, press all seam allowances in the direction of the arrows. Okay. So, all right, we're going to do that draw diagonal line from corner to corner on the A and C squares. That's these 2 right here. And we're going to do the half square triangle method that I think we usually do. But let's see, it says it's referring to page 137. And now that we have the book, we can actually see what's on page 137. But that's where all the extra instructions for how to do different techniques are. Here we are. Oh yes, so here's the triangle square. So we're going to draw a line from the diagonal on one side, and then we're going to sew on either side of them, so both sides. We trim down the middle, and that gets us 2 squares, and we will trim those down. So here's how it goes. I went through that pretty quick because we're going to do it right here. So we're going to put these 2 squares. These are our 3 7/8 inch squares. I cut mine to 4 inches because you can cut down half square triangles, which is what we're making now. So whether you did 4 inches or 3 7/8, it's all fine. So we're going to lay them right sides together, and then we need to see a diagonal here. So you can take a ruler and like a pencil or a pen and mark that. But what I actually like doing, just because it's quick and easy, I like just folding it on the diagonal. And I don't stretch, I don't rub my finger across here to make a crease, just because it's on the diagonal, which is the bias, and that is sometimes a stretchier bit, part of the fabric. So I don't want to stretch it. I don't want it to curve. But all I need to see is a little crease there, and then we'll put our right sides together. So obviously I'm using this white. I don't have a right or wrong side, but pretend I'm putting right sides together. So both of the sides that have the printed part on, not the back. So the 2 printed sides, put those facing each other. And all right, so now we are going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line. So that is the plan. All right, got the machine set up again here. I'm going to just throw in a little piece of fabric to get it started. My leader. And now I'm going to sew on either side about 1/4 inch. I don't have my little 1/4 inch marker that I usually have on here, so I'm guessing a little bit on that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Need my little scissors. All right, so this is one side. All right, so that's one side there, and now we're gonna sew on the other side. Oh man, yeah, you guys stay safe with fires and wow, just craziness. Here's that other 1/4 inch seam allowance. You have to draw your lines. Go for it, Gretchen. That is perfectly fine. You can draw down the diagonal, and you can also draw the 1/4 inch lines next to your diagonal. That's great. That'll make it a lot easier. All right, there we are. We got our diagonal and our stitching on both sides. So that's all we got to do there. Next up, we are going to actually cut on that diagonal that we made earlier. So, you know, we actually kind of made 2 half square triangles. See, we got the one on this side. There we go. And then we got the one on this side because we sewed both those lines. So now we just need to separate them by cutting down the diagonal. And I'm just, you know, I'm just putting my ruler on each corner here. Okay, so there we have 2 half square triangles. There we go, there's one, and here is the other. 2 of the same, and that is that. So let's press these. I'm going to see what direction we press the seam allowance. Okay, so we're pressing the seam allowance to the brown. So let's go to the iron. And because I'm pressing the seam allowance to the brown, I'm going to start with the brown part on top. I'm just going to give the seam a little press before we get started, and then I'm going to fold that brown side over and press. And because I had the brown on top, the seam allowance will be going towards the brown, and that's what we want here. So let's do this other one. Again, I'm going to put the brown on top, give it a little press. I still have my freezer paper out from our last project, the last block from yesterday. This weekend, like it's blowing up all over here. So it's gonna be time to clean the little workspace area again. We get caught up in all the blocks, and all these blocks make a mess. All right, so here are our half square triangles, and those are going to end up being the spools here. So let's trim these down. So I suspect, let's see, yeah, the unit should measure 3.5 inch square. So let's trim these down, because remember, I did cut them a little larger than I needed. I'm going to use my rotating cutting mat just because we're going to be rotating, and it's easy peasy. You don't need one. You can just move your piece. But I like this ruler. It has a diagonal on it. So, Leslie Ann, you said you never use up 100 needles, and now you only have one left? Well, that's good to know, because, yeah, I just got those 100 needles too, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, like, wow, 100 needles, that'll last a long time. I'm glad you're using them up. So if you see, we are almost already at 3.5 inches. So I'm really happy that I went to 4 inches instead of that 3 7/8. So the theory is, with that 3 7/8 inch square that we started out with, you should have, if you sewed perfectly, if you are an amazingly perfect sewer, you shouldn't have to trim it down at all because it will magically be 3.5 inches. I did mine 4, and I need to trim it down just a bit, but I trust me trimming it down a little bit more than I trust myself to be a perfect sewer. So that's why I went a little bit bigger with the 4 inches. So I'm aligning the diagonal of the half square triangles with that diagonal of my ruler. And I'm just trimming the edge. I'm making sure that I have at least 3.5 inches to start out with. And now after that first trim, I'm lining up that 3.5 inches. I have a 1/2 inch mark right here on my ruler. So we're going to go right like this. I'm going to try and line up that diagonal again and the 2 sides now. See, I barely have an edge, so whew, I'm glad, really glad I did the 4 inches. Just going to rotate it a little, keep my ruler in place. Yeep. There we go. Now we have our perfect 3.5 inch square. So let's do that with this one as well. And then we are off to the races. All right. Lining up that diagonal, making sure that I'm got that 3.5 inches to begin with. I don't want to trim this down if I don't even have the 3.5 inches. All right, there's first half. Okay, and there is second half. Okay, that is done. What is next? So now we should have a pretty good, these should be the same size now as our other white squares. So here we are. Oh wait, no, like this. There we go. So we have the start of our spool. And the start of our spool is just like an hourglass block where we have, this cute little butterfly in the middle. So now we just have to put these 4 squares in the corners of every single one of these blocks. So let's take a look at that again. So this is the stitch and flip method. So really what we're doing is we are sewing on the diagonal and then flipping it around. So this is a little bit different than the half square triangles because on the half square triangles, we drew a line down the center and then we sewed on either side. For these, we're actually sewing down that diagonal. We're not folding it or marking that diagonal. We're sewing down the diagonal. But let's take a look at page 137 again, just to double check. Again, now that we have the book, we can look at this. Yeah, so here we go. See, we're putting the square piece on top of our other piece, and we're sewing right down the middle. And then we trim off the excess, and we fold it over, and there we got our little piece there. So that is all we have to do. We just have to do that on every little corner, and we press towards the yellow. So all I have to do is know where my shapes go. So let's see, they're all going to go on the center area, right? So I'm going to just lay these here just to mark where they are, because now if I turn this and stuff, I'll still know that, okay, this is the corner I have to do. So what I'm going to do here is the same thing up to mark. I could draw the line, but again, I'm just going to fold. So I'm going to fold a diagonal right here. And I'm going to place it on the corner, and then I'm going to sew right on that diagonal. So all right, I'm going to do this for every single one. There we go. just because then I can sew them all at once if I get them all prepped all at once. So I'm putting like right sides together, and then I'm making that diagonal. There we go, just enough for us to see it. Right sides together. All right, let's sew on those diagonals now. See, this is a nice, quick, easy block. We are very much going to finish this tonight, which is fabulous. Sometimes it's nice to finish something quick and easy. Get that feeling of accomplishment. All right, now I'm sewing right on the diagonal this time, not to the one side of it. Let's get my stiletto out here. I like using the stiletto to kind of hold these pieces. Okay, there's one. Next up, make sure the edges are together, these edges. I got this weird part of my foot that keeps wanting to flip up. Okay, that's two. Oof, that one was maybe a little crooked. Oh, wouldn't this make a cute quilt? Just a whole pile of these. Yeah, this would be a quick, easy one to just cut out each of these squares like in bulk, like cut a whole pile of 3.5-inch squares and a whole pile of, ooh, I'm making a mess here. Where'd this thread come from? Jeez. But yeah, I think you could do this one pretty easily with a lot of squares all at once. All right, last one here. Again, I'm gonna just lift this up a hair. Okay, and that's it. And I'll just use the same piece that I started with. Let's snip and snip all the pieces apart. Okay, next up we are going to press. So a lot of people at this point they cut off this excess and then fold the square over. So there we go, we got our cute little square. I press first, and the reason for pressing before cutting off this extra edge is because I can use this corner to square up this fabric. So when I fold this over, I can aim for it to be in line with these pieces, just like that, and that will help my whole square overall be more square. Like if I didn't have this here, I would just be kind of guessing, right? I would just be folding it over. But this way I can really, I can stretch or move it a little bit just so it ends up square. So we'll press them all first, and then I'll open it up again, and then we'll snip off these edges. So, all right, let's go back to the iron here. So we're kind of wiggling all over tonight, aren't we? Okay. So let's do this first square. Again, I just always kind of like giving him a little press. Let's go this direction. All right, so with this hand, I'm just going to kind of aim for those edges. There we go. And now I'm going to press over there. So there we go, nice and square. It looks like a little bird with a beak. All right, here's that other one. Okay, folding over, matching up those corners. There, this one feels like it needs a little stretching. I might have sewn this one a little too much. All right, and these two. All we have left is to snip off this excess and then sew these 4 squares together, and we're done. Done. Easy. And here we go. Oh, yes, Gretchen. So the person who designed this is Nancy Zieman. So she was that sewing television personality. Gosh, I really don't know much about her, but she's huge in the industry. So you might have, you know, a lot of people grew up watching her on TV, teaching people to sew. Yeah, she died earlier this year, I believe. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this piece back, and we're just going to snip off these edges, these corners. I'm going to leave a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can use your ruler and rotary cutter if you like, but I'm just going to trim them. It's just quick and easy. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, one of the first like huge quilt person who brought quilting to people and sewing, you know, helping them out. Yeah, Sewing with Nancy. Yeah, that's right. That was the show. Oh, that's so sweet, Gretchen. Yes. Okay, so here are our pieces. There, see now, by making those little triangles in the corner, now we've formed our square, right? So that is kind of magical. There's our square. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. So let's see. I just want to check the instructions, see if I'm not missing some little tidbit. Arrange and sew the pieces units as shown. Press. So the rows together to make a 6.5 inch. Okay, nothing surprising there. Okay, we are sewing. We're pressing towards our white fabric though, so we are going to nest these seams together. We'll get to that. All right, so there is one thing we do have to pay attention to when we put these together and sew them, and that is we want to try and get these diagonal lines to match up, and I might even put a wonder clip there, because with those lines matching up, that's what's going to give us a nice point, like where they meet up there. So at least at the 1/4 inch mark, they have to match up. So I'm going to just grab a wonder clip. Let's put the right sides together, and I'm really focusing on that diagonal when I put these sides together. And you should really just be able to feel it. It's going to be a little weird because we're going to have a big jump up. So we're going from 2 pieces of fabric on this side to like 8 pieces of fabric layers. So it's going to be a leap for your sewing machine. So all the more reason to just put a little pin there or a clip to kind of hold it together while we work. There we go. So that's the one. And let's do that for this other side as well. Oh, I found another wonder clip laying around. Perfect. Okay, let me just look at this again. Right, yeah, that goes this way. This goes this way. All right. Right sides together. Again, let's match up those seam allowances. Nope, this is not the seams nesting. That will happen when we sew the top layer to the bottom layer. So I got a little ahead of myself there. All right, there we are. Actually, I'm going to do it so I'm holding both of these the same direction. Then they'll feel the same when I sew them in the machine. Yeah, I could press the brown one. Is that what they're suggesting? I could nest the seams together, you're right. Should we do that? Yeah, let's give that a try. Press the brown. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. So I'm going to try and nest these seams as well. So let's do that. Let's do one where we don't nest and one well, no, let's do them both nested. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm gonna reverse this press. I'm gonna press it towards the brown instead, and I'm gonna do that on the other side as well. And that might help us get these seams to match up a little bit better, and we'll take a look at that. All right, let's just hit it from the front again. Okay, let's press that other one as well. We'll figure this out again. All right, both seams I'm pressing towards the brown. I always like pressing on the front again. It's like double checking. Okay, now let's take a look at this again. Yeah, either nest them or open them all. I like nesting seams better than opening, pressing them flat or open. So we're gonna try nesting. Let's just position them again so I don't confuse myself. There we are. All right, so now I'm gonna put this half together. And they're now these diagonal seams are going opposite directions. So now I should be able to just nest them together, just like how we nest seams together for our rows. So our diagonal, we should be able to feel the diagonal parts meet. Let's get situated here. It's definitely a little bit more awkward than nesting our non-diagonal seams, but let's see. I think we're probably good there. I'm still going to throw a wonder clip there. Yeah, I get better points when I nest the seams together as well. I'm not sure I've nested diagonal seams like this before. All right, that's our first one. All right, flip this around. And same deal here. Hold on, I just messed this up now. Yeah, this seam. Yeah, same. They should look the same. Yeah. Okay, let's bump those diagonals together. Those seams should meet in the middle. You should be able to even feel them hit each other, those seams. Put a little clamp there. And all right, now I need to sew down these, and we should be good then. We will press these and sew our last seam. And then we will have a finished block. All right, I'm gonna use my stiletto to help things out here a little. There we go. So 1/4 inch. All right, I'm gonna remove my pin, but I'm gonna hold the seam there with my stiletto. Okay, there's our first one. Yes, nice to finish a block in one sitting. I totally agree, Amy. Ooh, let's get that underneath. Ooh, I can tell it's time to change needles. This is chunking along here a little bit. It's not wanting to... It feels like the needle's working a bit to get through the fabric, and I don't want that. So after this block, we'll change our needle here. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see how we did as far as did we get these to meet up? If not, oh well. Looking pretty dang good. Those points meet up just perfect. All right, so that's one. And let's see how we did on this one. Not too shabby. They look fabulous. Okay, great. Let's press these. And let's see. I think it said to press towards those background, the background fabric, which is our white. So I'm going to put the white on top here. Give it a little press and press this way. So we got to do the same thing. We got to actually nest 3 seams together now. We have to nest those 2 diagonals, but going in the other direction, and then this seam going down the middle. So we got a couple things to nest together here, but I think we can, I mean, already we're 2 out of 4 for good corner points. So if these next 2 corner points end up not being perfect, that's okay. We're already 50% of the way there, right? If we can get to 75% at least, that's pretty dang good, I think. Okay. We got our top and our bottom. Oh, thanks, Nolene. Nolene likes my sweater. Yeah, this is a goofy one, this sweater. A lot of funny things happening in it. Funny little, like, weird threads and stuff. Okay. Let's... You know, this is even really interesting. You could have a whole quilt just like this. It's like some sunrise mountain thing. It's cute. Okay. So many options for blocks. So, all right, now we have seams going in a certain direction for all of these. Let's flip this up. And, yep, so all of these seams are facing opposite directions. The middle seam and the side seams, which is perfect. That should allow us to nest everything together. And I'm going to start from the center because this is the easiest seam. These nice vertical seams, those just, you can feel them right away hooked together there. So let's throw a wonder clip. Ooh, I do have 3 wonder clips here. Perfect. Clip right there. And now let's get these trickier ones, these diagonals. All right. Oh, it's a bit easier now that we have that middle one. All right. I think I feel those together. And let's get this last one here as well. We're spreading out the bulk of the seam allowances too by nesting them like this versus having them all folded to one side like we did earlier. Then we had like, it would bump from 2 pieces of fabric to 8 pieces of fabric from the seam allowance. So this is, now we're at 4 and 4, or 6 and 6, I think actually. Layers of fabric. Alrighty, let's sew. This is it. So again, we need to pay attention to feeling these nested seams come together. Ooh, yeah, it's chunking along this needle. It's time to change it. All right, I'm gonna hold that seam there. Go together, little seam. All right, there's our first one. Here's our second coming up. Okay, and our third. Oh, shoot! My foot caught it funny. All right, let's see if we still got it. I have this weird angle in this foot, and if there's any angled fabric, it grabs it weird. And I'm sure there's a purpose for that, but I don't know. That might have just messed up my perfect seam allowance here. I'm gonna make a new leader out of these pieces here. Oh, I think I veered off at the end a little bit there too. As usual. Oh well. All right. Let's see how we did there. All right. Well, here's that first one. That's looking pretty good. What about down here? This is where we're messed up a little bit. But that looks pretty good too. I think we got a perfect little square in the middle there. Yay. Yeah, it seems to do that a lot. You're right, Nolene. I think I do have another foot. I just wanted this one to work, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just want to check to see if they said the... Oh, nope, they're pressing the seam downward. That's fine. Okay, it went in this direction, so I'm going to just press the seam to one side like this. Yeah, I love this one too, Robin. Oh, thanks, Naida. All right, let's just really squish that one. Oh, it's sweet. I like these colors. I think they turned out nice. All right, here we go, guys. Let's put it down here. Let's do our final kind of measuring check. It's always nice to double check that this actually ended up being 6.5 inches. It looks like I went a little over the edge there. Yeah. Pretty decent. I think I'm losing a little bit, so I think I'm sewing my seam allowance a little too big. So that's good to note. But all in all, not too shabby. I like it. It is awfully cute. Yay, and that is another block done, you guys. I actually don't mind the white background now either. So, all right, I'm going to flip you guys around and we'll call it a night. That was a good, easy 1 hour block. Hello, yes, Gretchen, you're right. There's a lot of free space to do our free motion quilting on here. There's so many options. We could do whatever. I kind of think like our little squiggles in here would be awfully cute. And they would kind of look like thread. Ooh, we could squiggle in here and then have it come off like a little piece of thread. Ooh, yes, there's lots of options. I love it. Cute, 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 cute. Ooh, little bow tie. All right, guys. 1 block done. That's wonderful. So thanks again for joining me. Again, this is the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along is what we're working on. And I will get this video up at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. And you can click subscribe there and click the little bell to be notified when that is up if you wanted to watch the replay. And it will stay here on the Penguin and Fish page on Facebook here. And I will be back on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. So have a fabulous weekend, you guys. And I will see you then. Good night.